feel like Gordon Bombay would have taken his career to even further heights.
Everything's flashy, everything's cocaine, everything's
Fun.
Open wide for some soccer.
I don't care what you think about what your personal thoughts are at home. I care that you hate the
Call
Cowboys.
this college rule.
Welcome, everybody, to the Sports Experience Podcast. I'm Chris with my friend here, Dom. We're just going to get right into it. Who we talking about today?
We are talking about Luis Figo back on the soccer pitch.
Yeah, man. Talking about Luis Figo, one of the best wingers of his era.
Yep.
And someone that's a bit looked over.
Yeah.
If you look at his accomplishments. Born November 7th, 72 in Almeida, Portugal.
Portugal, yeah.
Yeah. It's right outside of Lisbon. Mm-hmm. So they said it was a short trip to Lisbon, and I think in the mid-70s his parents end up moving to Lisbon. He's an only child.
Yeah.
Which is kind of rare. I've noticed that with our research. You don't really run into a lot of only children.
No, it's weird.
Yeah.
Usually you need that competition growing up.
Yeah.
But apparently not for this guy.
No.
Yeah. Was soccer player during his youth at UFC. Oh man, I'm gonna butcher this name. Pastiches,
Yeah.
I think. Is that it?
Just I don't know. Just a youth Portuguese club, and then he goes to Sporting de la Portugal club, which is like one of the bigger clubs. So there's like three big clubs in Portugal, which is like Benfica, Porto, and Sporting. So he ends up at 12. He ends up at Sporting, which is Sporting Lisbon.
Yeah.
Is their professional team. And then this is something that I have to reiterate is the reason why his skill on the ball was so good was they played futsal.
Yeah, I was reading about that. I think we brought that up in the Zico episode.
Yeah, which is big in Portugal and Brazil. I want to bring this up before I forget it. I suggested this guy, and Dom goes, "Where's that guy from? Brazil?" And I was like, "No, he's from pre-Brazil."
He's from the original Brazil.
But both of them are really into this futsal. People were saying that Brazil's decline was the lack of that technical skill that they get from this. It's like a 5-on-5, and it's like a really small ball,
And it's a harder court, right?
Yep, it's
like
essentially
a field,
it's essentially on like a tennis court.
That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah, it's a fun looking game.
Oh, definitely.
Makes his senior debut on April 1st at age 18. Mm-hmm. So he pretty much just goes through the normal sporting track, and he's looked at as a really great right winger because he wins a bunch of these like youth titles.
Yeah, 1991 FIFA Under-20 World Championship I saw.
Yep.
And the Under-16 European Championship. They called it, I guess, Portugal's golden generation.
Well, that's what everybody was thinking coming through was like him and Deco, and we see later young Cristiano Ronaldo is why they kind of were really thinking it was going to be their golden generation. But coming through Lisbon, he pretty much is just their right winger for 4 or 5 years. They're kind of in a downswing, so they weren't necessarily that great when he first came in.
Yeah.
And he was all right. And then in his last season, they end up winning the Portuguese Cup.
1994-95 was Sporting. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, but he's on to bigger and better things.
Well, that's what kind of what, and unfortunately, that's kind of what these smaller leagues are. Portugal, the Dutch league, is they're almost feeder.
I feel like when we've done all these soccer episodes, the recurring trend is for especially these good guys is they'll play on these smaller teams, and the reason these smaller teams stay afloat is they'll get bought out.
Yes.
Like the players will get bought out, and they'll have enough revenue to keep the team alive, essentially.
Yes, that's how they kind of generate their big revenue sometimes is through these big sales. And he has a deal lined up to go to Italy.
Which is great. I love this.
He signs with Juventus and Parma, who are rivals. And he says something like, "Well, I signed with both teams and I just figured they would figure it out." And the Italian FA comes in and is like, "Yeah, we're going to figure it out. Nobody's allowed to transfer you to Italy for 2 years."
That's hilarious.
Which it was pretty funny because it was really the clubs kind of being like, I didn't see who signed him first.
Yeah.
But the second club was probably just like, nah, it's cool.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. So he ends up not going to Italy. There was a small thing that he said that he almost went to Manchester City.
Yeah, I saw that.
But Barcelona came in with almost twice as much money. So Manchester City, I think, offered like 1.2 million, and Barca came in with 2.2.
Yeah, 2.25 million pounds. Yeah, and he goes to Barca, and that's crazy that he signed with both teams, though. I was just laughing about that. It's like a dude with two girlfriends.
Well, it's very much like the way these old school transfers were very just like up in the air. Like if illegal shit was going to happen, they were going to do it and then pay whatever penalty kind of thing. And then in Barcelona, he really becomes the Figo that we all kind of know, if that makes sense. The
marketable star.
Yes, he becomes the star of this Barcelona team, with a Pep Guardiola,
I remember that name.
With who's their coach? One guess. Johan Cruyff.
Of course it's him. He's his fingerprints are just everywhere.
And this big Barcelona comeback squad that I was talking about that they don't necessarily welcome back in their team.
No.
And Figo's one of the reasons for this. Mm-hmm. So we see this Barcelona team who was bad turn it around with Cruyff, with Figo, and they end up winning the UEFA Cup in 96-97. Yep. They end up trading for Ronaldo, not the Portuguese Ronaldo.
The Brazilian Ronaldo.
The Brazilian one. If you
New Portugal.
We're going to do an episode on him and his haircuts. They are some of the funniest things, and he even comments on them. He's just like, I don't know what I was thinking. And it's we'll talk about it. Don't worry, sports fans.
We'll be making it back, yeah.
And then Barcelona goes on to do back-to-back La Liga titles and back-to-back Copa del Rey titles and the UEFA Super Cup after they win the UEFA Cup. That's when they come back next year and the two champions play each other. And Real Madrid, in this time being Real Madrid, are they're pressing the panic button.
Yeah.
Okay. And what I found to be so interesting is Florentino Perez, who was trying to become Real Madrid's new president, ran on a campaign that he was going to bring Figo to Real Madrid.
Oh, man, talk about your pipe dreams.
So it was such a ridiculous thing that they were talking about. It was so insulting to Barcelona that this guy was like, literally his campaign was just like, you elect me, I'm going to go get Figo.
It's like that kid
and
running.
We're going to start winning again.
It's like that kid running for student council president. I will have 90 vending machines in the lunchroom.
Do you hate homework? We're cutting homework, but
reading is for morons.
To Perez's credit.
Oh my God, this dude is amazing.
He gets elected, and this is the first time that we see it happens kind of before with some Italian teams and with Real Madrid, but this is the first time in which if they want a player, they will literally pay any price.
Like the Yankees, dude. They're like Franco's Yankees.
Yes. Oh, my God. Franco's Yankees. Here we go. So right away, he comes in and buys Figo for... He purchased him. He pays his buyout clause. That's what I'm looking to say.
62 million euros in July 2000.
Which is a world record at the time. Mm-hmm. And this is the first piece of what is thought of as the Galacticos.
That's so cool.
Which is the Real Madrid pretty much just gets any stars.
Yeah, like the Yankees.
Yes, and feeds them in. Mm-hmm. This is something else I found to be kind of interesting. So just to put it in perspective, what this trade was, so like Barcelona to Real Madrid, it would have been like if Larry Bird joined the Lakers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or if like Manny Rodriguez joined the Yankees, or you know what I mean?
Alex Rodriguez?
Manny
Ramirez.
Yeah, Manny Ramirez joined the Yankees.
He looks like the Predator monster.
Well, this is what I mean. This was the kind of trade that people were talking about where Barcelona was furious and Real Madrid was like, yeah, we're taking this guy and you could shove it.
Oh, man. And, I mean, like, the balls on that man, though, Perez.
Oh, I know.
Oh, God.
It's crazy. So he ends up winning the Ballon d'Or, which is the world's best player or whatever.
Yeah, gold ball.
And he
2000.
In 2000 as a Real Madrid player for what he did for Barcelona.
That is like, the biggest. Ooh. Man, if I were a Barcelona fan, I would be salty.
Well, that's what they were talking about
Oh,
why this team isn't necessarily invited back, even though they had these championships and they were like this great team, is because Figo is fucking hated in Barcelona.
And I can see why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about his first return. Figo's the corner kick taker. He's the guy that takes the throw-ins for Real Madrid.
Yeah.
And they tell him to not take corner kicks this time.
Well, let's just say the stands are very close to the pitch.
And you get a lot of shit being thrown at him. And he said it was like this, when he came out, it was this eruption of hatred. So they had all these signs that said, traitor, Judas, scum, and then they had this
mercenary. All I could think of was Mr. Burns at the film festival. Are you saying boo or boo earns?
Well, that's kind of what his feeling was, and which was kind of naive from him was, he was like, I gave you guys all of this. You know what I mean? Like, I gave myself to this team for 5 years, and you can't even, like, respect it for that.
Well, it's not like he went to Juventus or like Manchester City or something like that. It's almost like Cantona from Leeds to what's it called? Man U, right?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I'm learning.
There you go. But that's literally what it was this rivalry that sparked it, and was somebody said this was a real focal point for the fans to be like, you fucked us over.
Yeah.
And then
Catalonia and Madrid already hate each other as places.
Well, I forgot to bring this up. This was a great point right there. Right before he got transferred away from Barcelona, he became their captain, which is so rare for a non-Catalonian Spanish player. This is how much they loved him and how important he was. And then literally that summer, he was just like, all right, guys, I'm out of here.
We couldn't put on the ad no Portuguese, but no Portuguese.
You understand.
Oh, God.
Perez said of the game, because Barcelona ends up winning 2-0, he said the atmosphere got to us all.
Yeah.
And then Ivan Campo, who was the defender, said that night hurt him. You could see it. And he like essentially had his head bowed, and it really affected him to have these fans that...
He said, you got balls.
Yeah, you got balls for coming back. And... he was hurt by that, and
it's like, what can you? I mean, you shouldn't be having scotch bottles thrown at you. That's bad form. But like the fact that they're booing you, I totally get it.
Yep.
Like, I mean,
yeah, there was a J&B bottle thrown at him on this first game, and then we start seeing, because this Real Madrid team starts to become the Galacticos. So they start just adding players. They put Zinedine Zidane in mid-season. They win the La Liga title with Figo. So Figo ends up going from Barcelona winning to Real Madrid winning.
And then he's FIFA World Player of the Year in 2001.
Yep.
Like, that has to hurt, though. Oh, man. Like, I would just be so salty.
Well, just looking at this Real Madrid team, like looking back on it, they probably should have won more. That's what people were talking about. So they had like Roberto Carlos on the left, and they brought in Michael Owen, who ended up being a bust because he got injured. Ooh. And it was really interesting because it was this first super team that we kind of see now that, like, you know, Chelsea, Manchester City, Real Madrid, obviously, Paris Saint-Germain all kind of have now, but this was like the first iteration of that, where they were like, we're going to pick up stars at every position.
And we're going to just buy a championship.
Yeah. Well, buy them. No, they weren't, like you said, like the Yankees, where they weren't their farm system. They were just like, no, that's great if you can come through and beat one of these $60 million men. And it's like, we can't.
Moneyball does not work.
Yeah, no, seriously. They were playing a different kind of Moneyball.
Looking at you, Tampa Bay.
I want to say, so he misses the next 2 Barcelona games.
Yeah.
And then he comes back to the Camp Nou, which is where Barcelona played November 23rd, 2002. And they were saying this is one of the craziest atmospheres. Like, if you thought the first game was crazy, this game was even crazier, because he decides to take the corners.
Barca 2 Electric Boogaloo.
That's exactly what it is.
God.
And so he goes midway through second half. This was a quote that he said about this game. So not even the first game, but this is a quote he said about this game. He was like, I was worried that some madman might lose his mind and try something. And it was like, That was the
I
atmosphere.
got a sock full of pennies. Who wants it?
Yep. So midway through the second half, he goes to take a corner kick, and he's just being bombarded. They found one knife, a shit ton of lighters, a bunch of beer bottles, and so he goes to take this kick, and it takes
This is worse than booing Santa Claus.
I know, it's brutal. It takes like 2 or 3 minutes for him to take this kick. He swings the ball in. It gets knocked out, so there's a corner on the other side.
Oh, no.
So he goes to the other side, and it's pure chaos.
You know, there's like this little Spaniard Hans moment. I was saying Boo Earns.
They're literally throwing so much shit that he can't take the kick, and the ref has to suspend the game for 20 minutes. And they pan over to see what was being thrown, and there is a full pig's head.
Yeah. Oh, God.
On the pitch right where he was. So somebody threw it, and it landed perfect.
This isn't comical like Bills fans throwing dildos.
No,
like this
no.
is disturbing.
They threw it. So I just want to point this out. They brought this pig's head. They kept it with them for majority of the game.
God.
It's like 65th, 70th minute, and they were like, all right, he's coming to take this kick. Here we go.
I do not know how you can hate something that much.
Oh my God.
Like, I hate the Los Angeles Dodgers, but you would never have me smuggling a pig's head into a game.
Can you imagine showing up to like a Lakers game and you're like, something smells. Does something smell? And they're like, I brought a pig's head. You know why.
That's just the hobos outside the Staples
You know
Center.
why.
Figo's here. That's why.
Larry Bird's here. What are we talking about? That's why I brought a pig's head. Why are you being an asshole? I think that's what the question is.
No. God. Oh, jeez.
It was pretty interesting. Something else that the fans of Barcelona didn't like was the players embracing him afterwards, and they were like, no, we're professionals.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're all in it together. And I
Yeah.
think the second the pig's head came out, the former teammates are probably like, hey, buddy, let's take it easy.
Let's cool it down a bit. In this Galacticos era, they're just buying everybody, so they go out and buy David Beckham.
No.
And this forces
After
Figo.
Fergalicious got rid of him.
That's right, with his lady lumps.
That's it.
And this is when Figo starts to get rotated around. So he's essentially a right winger.
Yeah.
Beckham comes in, and they're trying to get Beckham to be more part of this team. So he starts to play right wing. And it kind of affects the team to where they're not as good in these couple of years.
But Figo, that I had read, was really good with both of his feet. Like,
Yes.
he could kind of move around.
And that's why they kind of started to put him towards the middle, because Beckham was really only good with his right foot. But he really was a right winger always.
Yeah. No, I mean, that was his natural spot.
They
he was
said-
just talented enough to play other places. Yeah.
Exactly. He was good enough. And they said he had the golden cross. That's what they always said, was he was just like one of the best crossers of his era.
Mm-hmm.
And he had some of the best step overs because he wasn't the fastest player.
No.
But he was like technically the best. So he wouldn't have to take 2 steps when one would do, kind of thing.
Oh, for sure.
So David Beckham comes in. They start moving him around, and
You're ruining the chemistry, Mr. Posh Spice.
he says he didn't come out and say this, but he wanted to be the right winger of a team. He didn't want to be this kind of like rotation kind of whatever player, like whoever was out.
Yeah,
Player.
exactly. He didn't want to fill in. He just wants one spot and to play in one spot.
So he plays 5 seasons for Madrid, 2 La Liga titles, and then when in something that for the era especially. So Figo came in as with the world record fee at $62 million.
Yeah.
5 years later, still in his prime, they let him go for free.
Which is crazy.
Which is crazy because they were spending so much money. But
no more vending machines in the cafeteria.
that's, well, why are you charging $1? So he leaves Madrid on a free transfer and goes to Inter Milan. And we see what an important player he is. Inter Milan hasn't won a Serie A title in 20 years. I think it was 18 years.
Yeah.
And then they proceed to win 4 consecutive titles.
Which is crazy.
It's his skill and
was
the
amazing to
winning
watch.
mentality. This is my thing. So, like, in Sporting Lisbon, he didn't win that much. In Barcelona, he had 2 back-to-back La Ligas. He went to Real Madrid, had 2 back-to-back La Ligas. and went on to Inter and had 4 consecutive Serie A titles. He has so much just silverware, and
He's got that tiger's blood of winning.
Yeah.
Is what he's got.
Well, now I want to get into the international side, which everybody kind of says is his detractor.
Oh,
So
yeah. I mean, Portugal, you and your soccer team.
I feel bad for him. So,
Yeah.
2002, this was supposed to be their golden generation.
Yeah.
2002, they get knocked out of the World Cup in the group stage for the first time in like ever.
Yeah.
2004,
Euros.
they go to the Euro final, which is the Euros are held in Portugal.
And they were heavily favored, and I can still remember people going nuts over this.
So, I just want to say this. Their opening game was against Greece.
Yeah.
Greece beat them. And everybody was like in shock because that was such a ridiculous, like nobody thought Greece was going to do anything. Fast forward to the finals.
And who are they playing?
Portugal versus Greece, and Greece beats them again.
Yeah.
And this was the thing that was why they were saying it was the golden generation with Figo and Deco and this young, I think Cristiano Ronaldo was like 19.
Oh, wow.
So like it was this young team along with these guys who really should have won more international games because they were just so good.
But it never happened.
But it never happened.
Oh, God. It was like,
And then they had to wait for, that was the other thing, is they had to wait for 2016. Portugal ends up winning the Euros with not a great team and Ronaldo just at the helm. That's literally what it was.
One guy?
I just want to go through his stats real quick.
Oh, yeah, please.
Just to finish Figo up here. He had 120 caps for Portugal. I think it was number 2 or 3. I think it's actually 3 behind Ronaldo and
Is it Eusebio?
Eusebio.
Yeah.
And he holds the second most assists in La Liga, only to Messi. But Messi also has like 3 or 4 times as many games.
Yeah, exactly. I had read that. I was like, oh, man, he's like Messi good. Because I didn't know who the hell he was.
Well, if you looked at it, a lot of people said that this was like the first look of what Barcelona was like. Oh, we can have this young or this smaller guy kind of just cutting guys up and passing unbelievably, and they really slotted Messi into his right winger spot years later. Yeah, really a great club player. Didn't really put it together on the international stage, but
that's not all his fault.
I have to say the reason why his shit is overshadowed is really because of Cristiano Ronaldo.
I was going to say Ronaldo became just this mega star from the same country.
Same position, same country, same team. So he went to Real Madrid and won. He like the second iteration of Galacticos is what they were kind of calling it, even though it was just kind of the same shit. But they were saying like that. I mean, he won all these Champions Leagues and all these La Ligas and kind of what Figo couldn't do, and then won the Euro. So, like, that's what people were saying was, like, if you looked at Figo as an individual that, not Ronaldo overshadowing him, he should really be in that top 3 discussion of Portuguese players.
Yeah, he's just kind of lost.
He gets
the
lost.
Whole shame of it, yeah.
It's interesting because I distinctly remember him being that huge star, especially in Inter Milan when Jose Mourinho came and they had 4 straight, and they were just this great Italian team. And
he got to play there again after the little unpleasantness.
Well, that was something that he said. He always wanted to play in Italy. He always, there's something about like some guys, they like see a league and they're like, I want to play in that league.
This league suits me.
Yes.
Along with all of the, Maradona orgies.
Yeah, well, I feel like the Italian style of play suited him.
Yeah.
So I don't think the English style of play would suit him. Barcelona and Real Madrid's style of play kind of suited Barcelona more so. That was his greatest, I feel like, era was in Barcelona. But Luis Figo, one of the best of his era. Thank you all very much.
Thanks.